My suffering became my greatest strength. I never thought my life would become the story I'm about to share with you. For years, I carried pain so deep that even the people closest to me couldn't see it. I wore a smile like armor, hiding scars that weren't just on my body, but carved into my soul. If you're listening right now, maybe you've felt that heaviness too, the kind of suffering that makes you wonder if you'll ever breathe freely again. But let me tell you this, what almost destroyed me became the very fire that built me. Stay with me, because the ending of this chapter might just be the beginning of yours. It all began with silence, the kind of silence that fills a room even when it's loud outside. My childhood wasn't filled with joy or laughter like others. Instead, I grew up learning how to be invisible. Every night, I would lie in bed, listening to the chaos of voices raised in anger, doors slamming, promises breaking. I became an expert at holding my breath, waiting for storms to pass. The truth is, I thought survival was the same thing as living. And maybe you know that feeling, getting through the day, but never really being alive. As I grew older, I carried that silence with me like a shadow. At school, I was the quiet one, the one who never raised their hand, the one who pretended to be okay while battles raged inside. Pain has a strange way of teaching you to hide, and I became a master of disguise. But inside, I was crumbling. I remember sitting alone at lunch, watching others laugh as if life had handed them a different script. I wasn't jealous, I was just numb. I thought maybe that was all life had for me, to endure, not to feel. But then came the breaking point. The moment when silence couldn't protect me anymore. I found myself staring in the mirror one night, asking, "Who are you? And why are you still here?" My reflection gave me no answers, only tired eyes and a heart that longed for freedom. I wanted to escape the pain, yet something inside whispered, "Don't give up." Not yet. It was faint, almost drowned by the noise of despair, but it was there. And that whisper became the seed of change. I started searching for light in the smallest of places. At first, it was music, songs that spoke the words I couldn't say. Then it was writing, pouring my pain onto pages that didn't judge me. Slowly, I realized that expression was survival. Every line I wrote became a release, every melody a lifeline. And with each word, I started to feel less alone. I wasn't healed, not yet, but I was breathing differently. For the first time, I felt like maybe I had a choice, to keep carrying my chains, or to turn them into something stronger. Life didn't magically get easier. Pain still followed me, but now I was learning to face it. I remember one day, a stranger sat beside me in a park, and without knowing my story, they shared theirs. It was raw, it was broken, it was real. And in their voice, I saw myself. That moment taught me something powerful: suffering connects us. Our scars are different, but the language of pain is universal. And when we dare to speak it, we unlock doors for others who are silently waiting. That realization changed everything. I began to open up, little by little. First to strangers, then to friends, and eventually to myself. Vulnerability felt terrifying, like standing naked in a storm, but it also felt like freedom. I stopped pretending I was fine and admitted I was hurting. And instead of pushing people away, I found they leaned closer. Pain, when shared, doesn't double, it divides. And in dividing, it becomes bearable. But the real turning point came when I stopped asking, "Why me?" and started asking, "What now?" That question transformed my suffering into purpose. I began to see my story not as a burden, but as a bridge. Every setback, every heartbreak, every sleepless night, it was all shaping me into someone who could walk with others through their darkness. I wasn't just surviving anymore. I was beginning to lead myself out, step by fragile step, into something brighter. The strength I had been searching for wasn't about becoming unbreakable. It was about realizing that even broken pieces can create something beautiful. My suffering didn't vanish, but it became the foundation of my resilience. I started seeing challenges not as punishments, but as training. Each trial carved out space for courage I didn't know I had. And slowly, the very things I once hated about my life became the reasons I could finally stand tall. And yet, my journey is far from over. I'm still learning, still stumbling, still fighting. But every scar tells a story of survival, and every step forward is proof that pain is not the end, it's the beginning. I don't know where this path will take me next, but I know one thing for certain: my suffering became my greatest strength. And maybe, just maybe, yours can too. I never imagined that the same pain that once held me hostage would one day open doors I didn't even know existed. My life began to shift the moment I embraced the idea that my scars were not signs of weakness, but evidence of survival. I carried them with pride, not shame. And with every story I shared, something extraordinary happened. People listened. They saw themselves in my pain, and they saw hope in my recovery. For the first time, I realized I wasn't just surviving for me, I was paving the way for others too. Opportunities started to appear where I once saw only walls. I was invited to share my story at a small gathering, and though my hands trembled as I spoke, the silence in the room told me that my words mattered. When I finished, strangers hugged me, their eyes wet with tears, whispering, "Thank you, I needed to hear this." That night, as I walked home, I felt something I hadn't felt in years: purpose. My suffering wasn't wasted. It had become the language through which I could heal others. From there, the stage kept growing. What started with a small group became larger audiences, and soon, I found myself speaking in places I never dreamed I'd stand. Each time, I wasn't sharing from a place of perfection, I was still healing. But that was the beauty of it: people don't connect with perfection, they connect with authenticity. And my authenticity was the very thing I once thought made me unworthy. The more I spoke, the stronger I became, and the stronger I became, the more lives I touched. Success didn't come with wealth or fame at first, it came with moments of connection. A message from someone saying my story stopped them from giving up. A letter from a young person who felt seen for the first time. These weren't just small victories, they were the kind of rewards that no amount of money could buy. And with each one, I realized that true success isn't about what you gain, but about how much light you bring into the darkness of others. That became my new definition of achievement. Still, success has a way of testing you. With every opportunity, came new challenges. There were days I doubted myself, days I felt like an imposter standing in front of crowds, wondering if I was really strong enough to lead anyone. But in those moments, I remembered the mirror I once stared into, the whisper that told me not to give up. That same whisper reminded me that courage isn't the absence of fear, it's moving forward even when fear is screaming. So I kept moving forward, one trembling step at a time. And then, something beautiful happened. People began to believe in me more than I believed in myself. Mentors appeared, friends supported me, and doors that were once locked seemed to open on their own. I started to build not only a platform but a life filled with meaning. My suffering had turned into strength, and that strength was creating opportunities not just for me, but for everyone who crossed my path. Slowly, success wasn't just an idea, it became my reality. I built projects, wrote words that reached beyond my own city, and stood in places where once I thought I would never belong. My voice carried stories that healed, inspired, and transformed. Each time I looked back, I saw the broken version of myself and wanted to tell them, "You made it." Every tear, every sleepless night, every moment of doubt, it was worth it. Because the broken path I walked became the bridge that others now use to find their way to hope. That, to me, was the greatest reward of all. The more I gave, the more I received. Not material things, but deeper things: peace, joy, fulfillment. I began to see that true strength is not measured by how much you can carry alone, but by how much you can lift others when they can't walk. And in lifting others, I found myself lifted too. Every time I spoke, every time I shared, every time I chose vulnerability over silence, I reclaimed a piece of the life I thought I had lost forever. Now, when I look at my reflection, I don't see tired eyes anymore. I see someone who has walked through fire and refused to let the flames consume them. I see someone who took the ashes of their suffering and built something beautiful from it. My story, once hidden in silence, now echoes with strength. And though I know the journey isn't over, I stand with confidence, knowing that I have transformed pain into power, fear into courage, and suffering into success. And so, here I stand, not as someone who never fell, but as someone who refused to stay down. My greatest strength was born from the very things I once thought would destroy me. My life became a living testimony that even in the darkest nights, light can be found. And if my story proves anything, it's that your suffering, no matter how heavy, can become the foundation of your greatest strength too. Because sometimes, the very battles that break us are the ones that set us free. Life often disguises its greatest lessons inside the moments we least want to live through. Pain, loss, failure, rejection, these are words we associate with weakness, yet they are the very ingredients that shape our inner strength. The story you've just heard is not only mine, in some way, it's all of ours. Every person carries silent battles, invisible scars, and nights of doubt. And yet, what makes the difference is how we respond. In our daily lives, it might not be as dramatic as standing on a stage or overcoming years of hidden suffering. It could be something as simple as facing another Monday at work, handling the weight of bills, enduring the silence in a lonely room, or struggling to forgive someone who hurt us deeply. The lesson remains, suffering doesn't define us, but how we rise from it does. Strength is not discovered in comfort, it is forged in fire. Think about the challenges you face today. Maybe it's a financial struggle, where every day feels like a fight to stay afloat. Maybe it's an emotional battle, the kind where you smile in front of others but collapse into tears when the door closes. Or maybe it's the quiet pain of feeling unseen, unnoticed, forgotten. These moments are not the end of your story, they are the soil where resilience grows. Just as storms nourish the earth, difficulties nourish the soul, if we let them. When you choose to see your pain as preparation instead of punishment, your entire perspective shifts. Suddenly, the things that once made you feel weak become proof of your endurance. And endurance is the birthplace of transformation. In our everyday routines, opportunities to transform suffering into strength are everywhere. When you fail at something you worked hard for, it's tempting to quit, but that failure may be training you for a bigger stage. When someone betrays your trust, you can let bitterness poison you, or you can learn to build stronger boundaries and deeper wisdom. When life closes a door, whether it's a relationship, a job, or a dream, it's easy to stare at what's lost. But if you keep your eyes open, you'll notice that every closed door forces you to search for another path. And often, that new path leads you exactly where you were meant to be all along. Daily life may not feel epic, but the courage to keep moving through it is heroic in itself. The truth is, none of us escape suffering. But the secret is this: suffering is not the enemy. It is the teacher. It shows us who we are when everything else is stripped away. It reveals our deepest fears, but also our hidden strengths. And in sharing those stories, we find we are not alone. That's the miracle. What once isolates us can become what connects us most deeply. Look around, every person you meet is carrying something you can't see. That means every smile could be a victory, every laugh could be a scar healing, every handshake could be someone holding on a little longer. When we begin to treat others with that awareness, compassion becomes second nature. And when compassion leads, healing follows, not just for others, but for ourselves. So, as you reflect on this story and on your own journey, remember this: strength is not built in the absence of pain but in the decision to transform it. Every challenge you face can either chain you down or set you free, it's up to you. The greatest victories in life often come from the hardest battles. Don't wait for a perfect moment, Don't wait for someone else to rescue you. You already carry the strength you need. Believe it, embrace it, and let it shine. One day, when you look back, you will realize that what once felt like suffering was actually the very foundation of your success. And when that day comes, you'll thank yourself for not giving up. Thank you for staying with me until the end of this journey. Your time, your attention, and your heart mean more than you know. If this story touched you, if it made you feel seen, or if it reminded you of your own strength, I invite you to take one more step with me. Subscribe to this channel, share this video with someone who might need hope today, and leave your thoughts in the comments. Your voice matters here. Together, we can build a community where scars are not hidden but celebrated as proof of survival. Until the next story, keep moving forward. Your strength is already within you.